Okay, so this should be included, but it's not. It's written all over your face. Something is written all over your face. They see it when they look at you. They feel it when they're next to you. It's all over your face. It's written there. Okay. It's really something is like really hard for you to hide. I'm not really sure if you're trying to. I feel like you are. Excuse me. Hiccups. Okay. Wow, they kind of hurt. Okay, so I feel like something. This is hiccups, literally. Painful ones, piercing ones. All right, so somebody's getting revenge on you from last time. Something scary to think about. It's even scarier when you see it. Like, I'm getting to like a lot of hair. Okay, like so a lot of hair then. You're so afraid to look back. Like, you're hoping that the only thing that's back there is your hair. So I'm getting back hair, and that's not even what you meant. You're so scared to like look backwards. There's so much being offered to you, but if you just pretend like that's not what's going on, maybe it won't happen. You don't want something to happen because you know that like you're gonna have to do something grand or big, or you're gonna have to take some type of leap of faith, or you're gonna have to jump. You know that you're gonna jump, and that's why you don't want to do something. You're like, but it's not like, oh, please stop me. It's not like that. It's like you just feel like something's too big for you. Like something's too big. You feel like something's impossible, but it's not, and that's why you're scared, because you know it's not impossible. You're afraid of the shit that you can't believe in. It's like you can't believe in something, and that scares you. It's like, this is impossible, and it's like, no, it's not. It's you're doing it, or you've done it. You're like, no, I didn't. And it's like, yes, you have. You're doing it. It's like, no, it's impossible. I feel like you can't use that word anymore, and that scares you. You really want revenge. Like, it's not even about revenge, but I feel like it's not about revenge. It's not about winning. It's just like, you don't want to be understood. But I feel like you also don't want to be mean, but you don't want to be wrong, and you don't want to lose. I mean, no, who the fuck does? But I feel like that may be the conclusion. Like, you don't want to start over, but you kind of do. It's like, but you don't. It's like, no, I don't. You don't want to go back. That's the thing. But you feel small. You feel like you're being crushed under, like, you just feel like an ant. You just feel insignificant because you are. I think like you're realizing that you're not shit, or you're like not that great, or Aries got this. Like, you don't have control, but you kind of do. It's a man's world. And like, that's okay. Like, you don't hate that, but you know that men hate you, and it's like, but I don't hate them back. You don't know how to get out of a man's world. Or you don't know. Yeah, you don't know how to get out of a man's world, or you don't know what you're getting out of it. You're not getting anything out of it. And that's just like a, you know that you're not going to get anything out of this. I feel like it's a man's world, but there's no men. What is, yeah. So you have to create one? The only way out of a man's world is to have a man. You have to, it's like a key. It's like the key is to have a man. That's how you operate in a man's world, but you don't have one. And I feel like you're not really sure how to create one. It's impossible. It's impossible because you have to give him your rib. I mean, I feel like okay, I just lost my train of thought. The key is to have a man. In order to create a man, you have to think like one. But then men don't like that. But I thought there was no men here. So something is so it's a contradiction here. Okay, so that's not gonna work. Something's not that's so something's that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work out. It looks to me like somebody wants you to create a man without thinking like one. You can't. So to simplify this, I feel like you can't have a son without thinking like a man. It changes. Someone's like tormenting you because you think like a man. You're like, well, I have a son. It's hard. It's hard to forget you have a son, right? Yeah. I mean, it's like no matter how hard you try, you can't forget that you got a son because you had one. I mean, I feel like you don't care about your son and you're like, whatever, do whatever you want. Or someone doesn't want you thinking like a man. It's like, well, sorry. Someone's like, stop trying to be like a man. You're like, well, I have a son, so you're scared because you don't know what somebody wants from you, or you can't be what you can't go back like to before you had one, a son, I'm saying. It's okay. It's a catch-22. In order for you to have a son, you have to think like a man. That's why you have a son. It's you don't think like a man because you have a son. You had a son because you think like one. That's why you have a son, because you think like a man. You thought like a man when you were creating your son. Now you have one. So this was before the fact. This was something that happened before you had your son. That's why you have a son. I feel like somebody wants you to forget about your son, but when you go back to before you had your son, you still think like a man. I don't know what that really means. I don't know what thinking like a man means, but somebody wants you to go backwards and you can't, and it's your fault and you feel bad or something. Or I don't know what thinking like a man means. I'm not really sure what that means. But I feel like I feel like as long as you think like a man, you can't get one or something like that. I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm kind of like losing my train of thought and like getting a stomach ache at the same time. Somebody wants you to think about men. Don't think like a man. Think about men. How? Okay. Somebody wants it to be all about them, but or somebody. I feel like somebody wants it to be all about men. Or, of course, this is men, because. So you're a man watching this. You want someone to think about you, but not think like you. All right, it's understandable. I feel like that's very logical. Like that concept is very logical, but you're like, no, stop conceptualizing. You want someone to think about men without thinking like a man. You don't want them to conceptualize, but you want them to conceive. You. Like, why are you telling me this? What is the Two of Pentacles? Yes. Okay. So you've managed to do this. That's magic. You've managed to think about a man without thinking like him. You've managed to conceive him without conceptualizing. And he's still not happy.